I kind of was like, oh, there was just something about him where I was like, I don't know if I love the body language going in. That wasn't to say he was moping or anything. It's just one of those cues that I was like, he looks a little unsettled, in my opinion.
And he played unsettled.
We'll start with this question from Robin.
So there's still a damn good defense. I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, I am Jenna Cottrell. Dan Fates with a veteran day off. But here we have the latest installment of You Ask, We Answer, presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Let's get into it, Mike. Before we do, though, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you, because I forgot it, which is crazy.
Very briefly, you never usually forget. And the share part is important, because we have gotten great responses from you guys. And then I always try to say when I meet somebody, tell some other Bills fans.
Yeah. And there was a lot of Bills fans in Indy.
There was. Dan was in his glory.
I told you in Seattle, I was shocked and impressed. And you guys were like, oh, yeah. And then in Indy, they showed up again.
They showed up in droves. Like, it was very impressive. That's an underrated trip. Cool downtown.
Yeah.
When I say cool, it's not LA here, but it was fun. Great stadium.
Yeah.
And from Buffalo, 7 hours.
That's not terrible.
I mean, if you're going to drive, but fans showed up, and I think a fair estimate was a third of the crowd.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's impressive. All right. Let's talk. First comment from Tracy Parody. This isn't a question, but my Lord, when I saw that MVS stat line, I knew the next podcast would be hilarious. So I watched the pod that you and Dan did after the game, the win over the Colts.
Yes.
And I laughed so hard at Dan coming back in and being like, wait, we have to talk about MVS.
Yeah. So the funny thing was, we get done, and right away, Content Dan goes, oh, I forgot to talk about MVS. I forgot to talk about it. Let's keep going. And then he was excited to just add it at the end.
Of course he was.
So he's tried to take Amari Cooper's stats. He's tried to now take MVS's stats from another team.
Yes, yeah. He's probably claiming the Super Bowl wins too from MVS. It's like, those were mine as well. Okay. Well, Trace E. Perodo, I don't know. I'm sorry. I butchered it. But there is a question here. I know tight ends take a while and a bit to develop, but is it just me, or are Josh and Kincaid often not on the same page?
It's not just you.
I think it's a very fair question to ask.
I think when the season started, we thought Kincaid's the number one guy. Josh is going to be looking for him. They're going to get most of the targets. Teams are going to try to take him away. That has not been the case. Maybe a little bit early, but I think the other guys have stepped up when they've had chances. I mean, look at the way it's gone. Shakir, it's every week with that guy. Keon, when he's healthy, has made plays. And Mac Hollins was a stud for this team on Sunday. He was legit NFL wide receiver in that game.
Led the team in receiving yards.
He was great. So they've had other guys, and it's almost like, I know you can say it's game planning. I know you can say some of it's on Josh. I know you can say, but part of me wants to see Kincaid. When I say demand the ball, not to say anything, but like put yourself in a spot where he's going to throw to you. Now, he did get banged up in that game.
Yes.
Tried to tough it out. They put a brace on him. I don't know. We'll find out later this week if it's hurt, let's keep him out, or it was like, we should be in good shape here, let's keep him out. I think we'll know more Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
But I think he could be better. I'm not putting it on Josh. Allen's found other guys.
I agree with that. I really have. I think now going forward with his injury status, Sean McDermott said on Monday, it's something they're going to continue to monitor. So that's very Sean McDermott way of saying, like, we don't really, as reporters, know the timeline of this. Is it week to week? Is it day to day? All of those things. But I think it's very fair to be frustrated at what you expected to see from Dalton Kincaid this season and what you have seen so far.
Full disclosure, this guy drafted him in my one fantasy league that I'm in. It has been underwhelming. I thought, because I'm in this with a bunch of people from Jersey where I grew up, and I'm thinking, they don't know. I mean, they know Kincaid, but like, I got Kincaid. I got him a little later than people thought, and I'm waiting for the numbers to pile up.
Yeah.
Still wait. I lost by a point this week, by the way. No one cares about your fantasy team, but it was
they don't.
they don't. But I'm watching the end of the Rams game, and Robinson of the Rams, really good player, not caught a ball, nothing the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm 2 points up coming into the game. I'm like, I'm gonna win this thing. 30 seconds left in the game, he catches 20-yarder, beats me by a point.
That's
but
amazing.
that's because Kincaid's not getting me the points. Damn it, Kincaid, I need the points.
No, I feel similar to Bills fans where it's like I thought that we compared him, which maybe this is unfair, of like he could be that Travis Kelce type of guy. Travis Kelce is coming into Buffalo, and we know the accolades and the star that he is. And I think for a lot of fans, you've just wanted to see that next step. It's his second year in the league. They say like the sophomore slump, that kind of stuff. With the injury going forward, what will he look like? But I think it's very fair for fans to so far have been underwhelmed by what they've seen from a guy that is a first-round pick.
And what does Kelce do? He's not the fastest guy. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the strongest guy. He's just available to Mahomes. Now, some of it is their rapport, but that guy knows how to find space.
He's so good at just sitting and finding. Yeah.
And so when we compare, we're talking about the type of player, the way he plays. Kelce is first ballot Hall of Famer. It's a second-year tight end. It could take some time.
Yeah.
This would have been the year I think that would have been ramped up. So far, it's been average.
Well, we've heard so much talk when they drafted Kincaid about the 2 tight end sets and what will that look like. You have Dawson Knox, and then bringing in a guy like Kincaid, like the skill sets, all those things. I think, I've wanted to see more.
And Dawson has stepped up, limited amount.
Mm-hmm.
The play they made on Sunday,
that play was huge.
Great catch over the head. Great throw by Josh. They were on the same page. Big play early in that game. So, you know what Knox is. It's not like Knox is going to go out and get you 10 catches for 130, but he has at least made some plays from the tight end spot.
So speaking of tight ends, Mark Murphy 558 saying, is there some adjustment that can be made to slow down Kelce? He seems to be the key to the Chiefs' passing attack. Matchup zone, the equivalent of a spy. Bobby Babbage was asked, this is the first time Babbage taking over those DC duties as now the Bills have faced the Chiefs so many times. It's like, what makes Travis Kelce good? He's like, you guys see it. He's phenomenal. He picks his points. Like, you can have a great plan going in, and he's just one of those players that can just dominate and take over a game. And we've seen so many times that the Bills have struggled to keep him in check. So what does that look like? Because even when you put like Taron John, he's just bigger and he is stronger type of thing.
I think the Bills' best option is Bernard on him, but you can't just say to your middle linebacker, you're spending the whole day in cover. I mean, they don't play the defense like that.
No.
Taron Johnson can play against him. He's given up size. Bernard, I think they missed Bernard, as you guys all know, so much in that playoff game. And Kelce, he is a frustrating player to watch for the other team.
Yeah.
And give the credit to Reed, Mahomes, and Kelce, because they know what works. But when they ISO him on the TV broadcast and then you watch him, it's like he's just sort of floating out there.
I feel like, his routes are just like, there's a little space here.
And then he is available. They know those moments when he thinks his quarterback's going to turn. It's not like Kelce's running 20 yards by anybody and catching him.
I know.
99% of the time, his back is to the end zone, and he is catching the ball, waiting for it from Mahomes.
You know what bothers me, though, is like early on this season when he really didn't have a lot of catches. I was like, he's 35. He's hit that mountain and he can't get.
35 is when you hit a wall.
I wouldn't know. Yet. But no, you know what? I'm like, maybe it's that. And then obviously.
Well, he's motivated too. He hears all the Taylor Swift stuff and your game is this and that and the other. Honestly, he's been pretty good this year. He's making a lot of plays for them.
He quickly shut a lot of people up.
Yeah.
Do you think Taylor is in Orchard Park? She was obviously here for the playoff game.
Check.
Oh, she hasn't texted you back yet?
No, she said, I'll let you know. She said she wants me to go over a couple ideas for her New Eras tour.
Well, I know she did talk about being at Wayland Brewing on Wednesday for
That's
our
cool.
live tomorrow. If you're watching this on Tuesday,
Yeah.
the live recording at 7:00.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. She asks for a lot if she shows up. So we'll see.
She's a huge fan though.
Yeah,
so.
she is. She is. She's big.
No, I do think Kelsey has been, I mean, him and Mahomes and just the duo that they are, they have absolutely had moments where they have punished the Bills. And so you have Bobby Babbage taking over the play calling responsibility is obviously the defense this year. And I talked about it. He did say how upstairs he has Sean McDermott and they obviously have a great relationship. But that's the guy to me that I always want to know where he is on the field, because that's the guy that can cut you.
You come into the game, you're sitting there, it's 3rd and 5. Everybody in the stands, everybody's there is going, they're going to go to Kelsey, or Kelsey's going to impact the play in some way. It is frustrating. You just accept. The guy's a great player with a tremendous feel. It's almost like a basketball player who isn't the quickest, the fastest. He just has a sense of how to get himself open, and more of a Luka Doncic kind of guy where he's not particularly quick. He can't jump. He doesn't anything. He's bigger. He uses his size. He smarts on the court. He plays like he just sees it.
Yeah.
He almost sees it kind of like a quarterback, I think.
I think that's very fair to say.
And Mahomes
which is annoying.
Great. It is annoying.
It's so annoying. The block field goal. Seriously.
So they mapped that out. That guy playing in that guard tackle spot for Denver.
Denver.
He got trucked so bad. They knew he was a weak link. I heard McAfee going, that's the worst technique I've ever seen for a blocker. The guy's back on his heels. But the Chiefs, and you heard Belichick did a bit on, by the way, he's really good on that Inside the NFL show. I know he's Belichick. We're talking about Kelsey and Belichick today, about how when you find things about kick blocks, you save them until you need them. You don't go into the game going, oh, it's an extra point. We're going to go try to block it here. Yeah, you always want to do it, but it's when you really need it. Kansas City knew that guy was a weak link. They attacked that spot. Was there a little bit being fortunate? Yeah. Yeah, it was fortunate that all 4 guys didn't block the kick because they walked in and made the play. But it all goes to them, attention to detail, and well-coached. They are. Yeah. As great as Kelsey is and Mahomes, that defense, the special teams, they too get great attention to detail. That people talk about the difference between the Bills and the Chiefs. That goes somewhat to coaching. It goes to continuity. It goes to detail, especially in those moments.
I also think when you've done it before, it just changes the dynamic of everything. It really does.
Lightens them up a little bit. It's
well, it's like that belief is real. And like, you can say about like, we got this guy, all this stuff, but when you've actually seen it happen, you have just, I think it's just a different feel for it. There was actually a question that I thought was kind of interesting about the dynamic of this game and how this is from Eel 1378. If the Bills lose on Sunday, hypothetically, they still basically have. Oh, this is not the question I was looking for. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry, Eel. He was essentially talking about the playoffs and all that stuff. But
well, even that leading into playoff positioning and all those things. Look, ideally, you want the 1 seed. You get the bye. You're at home. I think it's a tough ask, even if the Bills were to win Sunday with the Bills' schedule. Now, I mentioned that Rams game. They did not look good.
No, they did not.
And that place is a beautiful stadium. It is not a home field advantage.
No.
So, that one is out there. But you still got San Francisco at home. And, obviously you've got this Kansas City game and at Detroit. I looked at the Chiefs' schedule. They have a few difficult spots. I think at Denver is going to be tough. Like Denver played them tough and all.
They did.
But
I'll give them that.
Now, if you win this game, the one thing you keep in mind is if it ties, you get it because that's the number 1 tiebreaker.
Yes.
But I think it's.
I also think it would be perfect if like the Chiefs beat the Ravens beat the Bills, and the Bills beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because then going in, it's like,
and
just
by the way,
Mayday.
I'll admit this when I'm wrong. I did not think Russell Wilson was going to do much for the Steelers.
I hate it, but yeah.
Dude's been good.
He has.
That team is good. I don't think they're great, but they're good. They know who they are. They're well coached. To Jenna's point about the Ravens, we'll see what happens this weekend. I think they're playing, right? They're playing this week.
I believe
I
so.
think that's the doubleheader. Like CBS has got Ravens, Steelers, and then Bills, Chiefs. Nice for them. But where the Ravens are in the pecking order, because right now the Ravens are a non-division leader, which means they start out at 5 at the highest.
Yeah.
Where the Bills they're going to be home in the first round.
Which is nice. Already,
and they know that. Yeah.
Steelers, Ravens in Pittsburgh, 1:00.
Yeah. If Pittsburgh wins that game, they are full-on driver's seat to the division title.
Which is so
wild.
Yeah, it is. Josh Martin, 1482. The Bills are in a tough spot as far as narrative. Win Sunday and it's do it in the playoffs. Lose Sunday and it's Casey owns the Bills. Is there any logical outcome on Sunday that would change those narratives?
I guess you could say the one that would change it is if the Bills blew them out.
Yeah.
They never get blown out.
They never do.
They just don't. Well, neither do the Bills. Rarely. I mean, Baltimore did this year.
That was the anomaly.
But
anomaly.
I guess if the Bills just truck them in the game, because if Kansas City blows them out, that's bad. I don't think that's happening. But if that happened, it would be bad. But the Bills would still be the team going into the playoffs where it's like, we haven't beaten them. This is when we got to prove it. We get another chance. That's exactly what you'd hear in the locker room. And let's see what happens. I would say only a Bills blowout would say, like, the Bills are just the better team and maybe they get them at home and all. Yeah. But picture all these scenarios. Last year, everything late worked out for the Bills. They got to be home with the Chiefs. And they didn't do it. They didn't get it done. So
I know.
It's going to come down to that moment. We're all going to be at the game, whether it's in Orchard Park or in Kansas City, where we will go to the Italian restaurant. Yes. Nice place.
Yeah.
We'll be out there for the game.
Barbecue.
I know. We'll be out there for the game, and it's still going to be like they still got to do it. They've lost 3 times to them. You got to do it.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully they have beaten them in the regular season. So that.
Well, at least for your own confidence. And as football players in this game, the matchups, all those things.
Comes down to a Tyler Bass kick for redemption.
Well, that wouldn't be. Right now, he's feeling it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think he's been good. I would say this. It's big for the Chiefs because they're undefeated.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, they believe they're 17-0 caliber team. Why shouldn't they believe that? They almost like flirt with disaster every week and then pull it out. But for the Bills, you got to prove that you are right there with them.
Yeah.
And beating them is obviously big. Hey, listen, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenna. I was just going to say, everybody's still going to say, can you beat them in the playoffs? It still feels a lot better to beat them again in the regular season.
Yes.
And then you go, all right, now we got to do it again.
The Chiefs do play with their food, though.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, when I wanted to say this about the Chiefs, and we'll mention another
in that
time.
End zone.
Oh, Dan is taken the bit and now just uses it as part of his talking, pointing in the end zone. But
it's really good.
End of that Chiefs game. We talk about decision-making, Sean McDermott, what he does during games, end of games. 2-yard line, down by 1 point, 2 point, whatever it was. 3.5 minutes to go in the game, 4th and 2, and Andy Reid kicks the field goal. Now, you could argue, you say, well, you're down by a point or 2, whatever it was. They were up by, they went up with the field goal. And I know the field goal gives you the lead, but in most cases, you kick that field goal there and you give that other team, now you're kicking off to them and letting them get the ball at probably the 30, and then they move down the field.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it worked out poorly for the Chiefs until they made that play.
Yeah.
So it's about decision-making. I look at it and say, if you go for it on 4th and 2 and don't get it, you still have them pinned at the 2 with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Make a stop. You get the ball. You got a kicker who can hit it from 60. So you do that. But when you're the Chiefs, you are living this glorified life. Yeah. Whatever you do
glasses.
Works.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So Andy, I thought that was a little gutless of him, and it worked out for them.
Okay. Next question. Robbie Wolf, how worried are you about Coleman and Cooper being out and also Josh's increasing interceptions? So, just something to note. So, Coleman has already been ruled out for Sunday versus the Chiefs. Cooper has not been ruled with a designated status for Sunday. McDermott said that they're going to take it one day by day type of thing. But he obviously missed the last two games. Cooper did. The bye week is up ahead.
Yeah.
So, we'll see about that. But I mean, yeah,
it's big.
It's big.
Obviously,
yeah.
both of them, are. It's also something to keep in mind. Let's say even Cooper plays, but he's not right, and no Keon. I'm not saying Keon is Travis Kelce as a receiver. I'm just saying in turn, but he does help this offense a lot, and he brings something to the team. So if you meet them again, you're meeting them. Now they could have Pacheco back, and who knows what their team's going to look like, but.
They've also dealt with a lot of injuries.
They have.
Yeah.
But in this case, for this game, I also think the team's mindset is going to be if Cooper can go and play, he's going to play. This is not like it's a playoff game, and there's no doubt he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
This is still a regular season game, and while it's big, even like Kincaid, if that knee is bothering him, I think they sit him out.
I agree.
I don't think they're going to go. Especially with the bye week the next week.
I think too, like you know where you're at in the division, you know what the landscape looks like. You want to be smart. And sometimes I think it is very easy to be like, all right, we need to win this game and all that stuff. I totally hear you. This is big for the AFC, for the 1 seed, all that stuff, if the Bills are in contention for that. But it is a week 11 game.
Yeah.
So it's the balance of both of those things.
Yeah, they don't sit guys out just like, because, sometimes I'll hear people say, well, you don't need him as much. And wait, no. If the guy's healthy, not going to be injured, ready to go, he plays.
Yeah.
Shakir played against the Jets. He was not 100%.
He was not.
Toughed it out and played, made it through it. And then he's obviously been much better since then. But they make those decisions, and they'll make it on this. The point about the interceptions, I mean, last week, Josh was just, something was off early.
Yeah,
with him.
He did not look.
And he did have a little bit of a different group out there. Maybe he wanted to keep up with Flacco. I don't know. That game was.
My God.
But Josh threw into traffic a few times. Like,
he looked way more rattled.
Yeah, he didn't
seem. So it's really funny. They did a cutaway early on, and you guys were there. I was in the studio back in Western New York. And I was like, oh, I don't like the way his body language. I was like,
you notice that a lot with Josh.
Yes, I can usually tell, but we've been covering him for so long. I've been fortunate to be on the sidelines for a lot of games. So you get kind of a general feel of how someone is feeling by their body language. And I kind of was like, oh, there was just something about him where I was like, I don't know if I love the body language going in. That wasn't to say he was moping or anything. It's just one of those cues that I was like, he looks a little unsettled in my opinion.
And he played unsettled in that one. Now, interceptions, the one he had in the game before was strictly on Keon.
That's a Keon
hit him in
thing.
The chest. These two were bad, and he could have had a couple more. Yeah. Like, he put the ball in harm's way. Not great. I mean, he ended up throwing for like 330 with his, without two of his best receivers. So that's still pretty impressive.
I think I'm not concerned yet about the interceptions.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yes, you did not have a great game against the Colts. I think it was we talked about it. It was a weird spot for the Bills.
Yeah.
Coming off the emotional win over the divisional rivals. Then you have the Chiefs up ahead, the bye after that. You look ahead, there's the Niners, there's the Lions, and it's like, oh, you have the Colts that are 4-5 going into that game. Just like they benched their quarterback for Joe Flacco. So
it was
kind of a letdown spot.
Yeah. And they still end up they're up 17 with 5 seconds left. They win by 10, and I predicted them to win by 10. Credit to me.
Wow.
I'm still
Are you proud of yourself?
And I'm still in last place, which last place means a game behind you.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of misleading, but
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that because this podcast is all about taking credit. You're in last place. One more question from NFL Street Josh. This has the makings of a Shakir game. Jenna, shout out you. If the Bills are shorthanded at wide receiver, what's the path to victory look like on Sunday?
Look, Kansas City's defense is really good. They are.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh has been able to move the ball against them. He does, and they score. You know, they've been good against Kansas City. I still think it's mixing the offense. Like, I wanted to see a little more James Cook, and I wanted to see a little more Ray Davis last week.
I was pretty surprised by that.
Yeah, and I do want to see that. The path to this win, offensive line, keep Chris Jones from killing you. Their linebackers make plays because Chris Jones takes up so much attention. Of course, they have the best defensive lineman probably in the league. But that, to me, the path is success on first down, whatever that is, whether it's runs, quick passes, whatever it is, to put yourself in a good spot and go play. They have the guys that can make plays against this team. Shakir, we'll see about Kincaid. It would be great. It would be great to get Cooper out there because they could use that speed going down the field. But I think, honestly, it is the run game to put yourself in a good spot. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see them running on first down. It's 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 10, and you're like, oh boy.
That's just tough to get back from.
Yeah.
Because then everything feels like a slog.
I want to add one other question from Peter Robbins. Sends in a question. Peter's like, when are they going to tell James Cook to stop doing his flip into the end zone? He's going to hurt himself. Peter Robbins, former 13 Wham. Well, back then, WOKR, I think, news reporter, lives down in Florida, huge Bills fan. Yeah, usually I'm like, it's Cook, he's a great athlete. That was clumsy when he went in the end zone.
I thought he injured himself. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flips, the first couple, really cool. Now, like, we get it. It's like, keep scoring touchdowns.
Right.
But
just come up with something.
Do a funny
different
dance.
Yeah.
Something
you're not going to hurt yourself because the game is physical enough. But that one, and then he sort of got up funny. Like, it just
he did like a lunge out of it. And I was thinking about if my body did that. They'd have to bring the stretcher out onto the field.
Yeah. I mean, I get that he's excited about getting a touchdown. I just think he's got to. I'm not sitting there thinking this guy takes hits from 240-pound linebackers, but that one always looks. If it's possible for an immensely coordinated, tremendous athlete to look dorky, he did at the end of that.
Dorky?
Well, he looked like he was like, see if you can do a
kind of look like breakdancing at the end.
Yeah, bad breakdancing.
What's the
Oh, is that what was the dance the guy for the Vikings did?
Oh yeah, he did the Olympic.
Yeah.
The breaking.
Yes.
Yeah. That was good.
That was kind of well done.
Well, I love the creativity.
Yeah. James, not so much. James, I'm with you, Peter. I didn't think about getting hurt until I saw this last one. I was like, ooh, that was not good.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Shout out to Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding for sponsoring this segment. And also, thank you so much for all your kind words. We hope to see so many of you out there at Wayland Brewing on Wednesday, November 13th at 7 p.m. for our live recording of the Buffalo Plus podcast. For Mike, I'm Jenna. Dan with his veteran day off. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus channel, presented by Connors and Ferris. We'll start with this question from Robin.
So there's still a damn good defense. I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in.